um, everywhere. People who love romance, people who love suspense, they love some Brenda Jackson. I have followed her almost her entire career. She writes, she's into movies now. Her son has done some of the production. Passion Flicks has picked up some of her the books to make them into movies. She's been a Harlequin author. She's been a St. Martin's Press author, a Kensington author. Started off with Arabesque, BET Books way back in the day. So she's learned a great deal over the years about the industry. She also has, and this is key for authors who are listening, she also has her own publishing house that she uses to publish works that don't necessarily fit the hero and the heroine do not necessarily fit what mainstream is considering as that they want on the covers. So she started her own house to do some books of her own, and they have been mega successful because she's built a brand over so many years. And she has a new book coming out. Let me share this really quickly. She has a new book coming out, I think this month, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that cover right there. That looks that. I've seen some hot covers from you, but I think that's probably like that sizzles. That sizzles, and I love that picture of you. The hair, you're in your Delta red, and I
Yeah.
love that, and it's amazing. So, Brenda, we're going to do a chat with you, but first, let you say something to the readers that are come. There's because the attendance went up the minute that you came on. Those are your people, so say something to your peeps.
Oh, goodness. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Lisa, for inviting me to this
No problem.
chat I'm always in your corner. Lisa is, I tell anyone, if you want to see something very well orchestrated, organized, then follow Lisa because Lisa knows unless I'm already committed somewhere else, all she has to do is ask. Love you, girl. And just to all my readers, I appreciate you. I was on a chat this week with Reese Ryan, and
Mhm.
she asked me, "What is the thing? What do I contribute my success to more than anything?" And I will tell anyone, my readers, because authors need to realize that all you are is a book on a shelf, unless you have someone to pick up that book and read it. And so I love my readers. I do things with my readers. I'm very active. And, it tickles me when people send me emails. I know you're not really Mrs. Jackson, but could you get this message to her? And I say, I am Mrs. Jackson, and I'm reading your message. I do all my messages right now because of the pandemic. I'm even working my own bookstore. And so I take all calls that come in where people order books over the phone. So your readers are your most important people. And until you grow your readership, that's how you become a bestseller, because you can always depend on your readers to buy your book. Of course, you're going to have to write a book that they will enjoy reading, but your readers are your most important people, and your just in this whole writing process. And I really appreciate my readers. So hi, all my readers that's out there.
Oh yeah, they're in the chat saying a few things. So I'm going to unmute the tribe members so they can throw their questions at you.
Hi,
And we want,
Brenda Larnell.
yeah. Also Royce, want to make sure everybody's unmuted because Tribe is going to be throwing the questions at you from themselves as well as from the she is every Vanessa Riley. Miss Brenda, you go. She is every woman. So just okay.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, Kathy Douglas. Miss Brenda, you're my shero. She also writes for Harlequin as well. Hey, Soror. Hi, Brenda. Yes, you do your endeavors put on more than your cruises. I don't understand what that means, but they love your cruises. Okay, let's take that away from that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
okay, tribe, who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go first. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Lisa?
Well, for no one doesn't know you, but just can you
I
tell us?
don't know. You'll be surprised.
Well, nobody right here, right now at COA 2020 doesn't know who Brenda Jackson is. But
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say, can you touch a little bit on what made you start writing? How did you first decide, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
Oh gosh. Trust me, it wasn't anything that I really had planned to do. When I went to college, I got a business administration degree because during the time that I came out of high school, which was out in the 70s, Blacks were just being allowed in corporate America. Unfortunately, I mean, believe it or not, I know a lot of young people don't know that, but there was a time when we were not allowed in corporate America. If you went to school, my grandmother, whoever went to college, they knew they would be a teacher to teach other Blacks. They were not allowed in corporate America. So during the time, thanks to Supreme Court Justice RBG, the women rights movement came about, and I knew I wanted to go in corporate America, and that's what I did. I went right out of high school to State Farm Insurance. I basically, they sent me to college, and that was my goal. I was going to go as high as any Black woman could go within that corporation. But unfortunately, I would go to my class reunions, and my friends who went to school with me knew I used to write stories to entertain them when we were growing up. So they just assumed I would be a writer. And that was their challenge to me. You know, what do you mean you're not writing books? I'm like, I'm not writing books. So my husband finally said, you know, don't go to another reunion until you write a book. So when you go back to your next reunion and they ask you, you can say, yes, I wrote a book. And that's really why I did it. I just wrote a book just to shut them up. And then I found out it was a way for me to relax. It was, you know, I was doing all this college studying, and I'm like, wow, I'm in another world. So, but next thing I knew, I had written 3 books about the Medeiros brothers. And my husband said, now what are you going to do? I said, well, first thing I'm gonna let them know I wrote a book. My classmates I know wrote a book. So on the challenge of my husband, he surprised me and sent me to my very first conference. And I was hooked from there. But it was still a hobby for me. It was never anything I took seriously. I met a lot of writers, Francis Ray, Margie Walker, you know, all of us became good friends. And it was like my once a year visit to see my friends, wherever the conference was, whether it was Romantic Times or Romance Writers of America. But it was only, and I had written, believe it or not, 50 books. I had made New York Times, USA Today, and a movie, and I was still working with no intentions of leaving my job. Okay. I was just writing still, even after those 3 successes, writing was still not on my radar. And so it was only when I worked hard for this job that I knew I deserved and I didn't get it, that somebody said, maybe God is trying to tell you that's not the job he wants for you. You know, even though you may think that's your job, maybe he's telling you something else. He gave you a talent and you're trying to juggle both. Maybe he wants you to just do this and be a success at this. And I started thinking about that and listening to that. And that's how I started writing more. Not writing, because I had already written 50 books, made USA Today, New York Times, made a movie by BET. It's then I took my writing career seriously and I retired. After 37 years in corporate America, I retired.
That's awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, Miss Jackson, I wanted to, my name is Michelle McNeil. Michelle Sims, actually, or Deanna McNeil. I wanted to ask you a question. I attended your RWA in New York last year,
Oh,
and you had the Ask Brenda Jackson Anything corner, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. And so many of us asked you, What do you think was the key to your success? And one thing you mentioned was a philosophy of focusing on the long game, but you ran out of time, so you couldn't tell us what that philosophy was all about.
You have to, for me, you have to look at, now that I'm out of the corporate mind, one thing I appreciate with corporate America, it taught me how to run a business. And the long game for me is my writing is no longer a hobby, it's a business. And so with it being a business, I handle it as a business. And that's my long game. Anything I do, whether it's customer service, whether it's running my own production company, getting the movies out there, negotiating behind the scenes to better myself, building my brand, all of that is my long game. And I know, and I tell anyone, don't think whenever I make money off my books, I reinvest it in the business. I reinvest it with my readers. I do things for my readers. I go on a cruise with my readers. I give them a lot of my time. So I guess what I do is pretty much make sure that I am doing all I'm doing. If I'm going to be writing and I'm going to want to make money out of writing, then I need to not to just center on just writing and forget about everything else. Mm-hmm. I need a game plan, and that's my game plan.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jackson, it's Florenza Lee. You answered my other two questions, but I do have a third one for you. At what point did you realize that you are the Brenda Jackson?
I don't think I realized it yet. Anyone who is around me basically knows that I'm just Brenda Jackson, you know, and that's one of the reasons I started doing my cruises, because I didn't want people to think I'm bigger than life or whatever, because I'm not. I'm just a regular person who like to write romance novels. And that's what I am. And that's how I handle myself. And, you know, my readers may think it, other authors may think it, but I don't. I just think I'm just Brenda Jackson, the wife of Gerald Jackson, forever. So, and that's who I am.
Oh, that's a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Lisa.
I talk to Brenda, thank you. I talk to Brenda quite often, and I love it that when you talk to her, she also listens. I think, and I'm always pleased when I leave a conversation, because I say, "Ooh, I was able to share something with Brenda that she didn't know," or things of that sort. She's like, "Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'll talk with you more about that later." It's a difference. It isn't that somebody she gives. You understand what I'm saying? But she's also willing to learn and grow. She hasn't sat on her laurels and say, "Well, I've made it and everybody else can do whatever." I remember, and I'm gonna share this with you because it was so funny. I went on her Alaskan cruise. Oh my God, that Alaskan cruise was absolutely beautiful, that Alaskan cruise. But she told me that, and I follow instructions. And she said, "Lisa, you can come up and introduce yourself." Well, she didn't say I could introduce my books. So I came up and introduced myself. And so later people were coming up to her because they heard the title of the books, you know, Every Woman Needs a Wife. Well, is she writing lesbian books? What's she write? And then she brought me over. She said, "Lisa, how come you didn't tell anybody about your books?" I said, "Because you said for me to introduce myself. And this is, you know, a Harlequin romance cruise. I don't write that. And I wanted to follow direction." And she said, "Lisa." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." You know, you know, she gave me one of them Kamala looks. But I thought that was amazing and she also helps and to promote other authors as well, because there's some people they give you a cruise, it's their cruise. You don't write romance, you don't write what they write. She wasn't like that. And I thought that was so amazing. And I truly appreciated that. And I had so much fun on that cruise. I met people on that cruise that weren't part of your romance event. I met a Hispanic family that I'm now the mother to their child because their child is coming here for college. But I met them on the cruise. And it was amazing. It gave me so many connections. I learned how to play poker on that cruise from a 12-year-old who had his own poker game. That should have taught me something, because man, he was beast mode. You have to watch for a person who brings their own cards to the game. I'm just saying. I learned that on Brenda Jackson cruise. Any other questions?
Thank you, Lisa.
You're quite welcome. Galaxy Note, I don't know who this is. She is a down-to-earth person. My sister does not read books, but she has been ordering on more than one of her cruises because of the fellowship. You make lasting friendships.
Yes. Whenever I've gone to so many events where people will tell me the reason I'm hanging out with these group of women is because we met on your cruise. And that's wonderful that they bonded on my cruise. And I just appreciate just the being able to bring readers together and then turn them on to other readers. Because one of the things I tell people, I'm not the only one writing romance. There are other people writing romance too. So one of the things I do, I ask Harlequin, my publisher, give me books by other authors, because I don't want to put my books in the tote bag that I give out on the cruise. I want other authors' books in the tote bag. And so they do. And that's my way of, because my readers will say, I don't write fast enough. And I'm like, you think I don't write fast enough because you're not reading other people. You need to read other people. Then you'll know that I'm writing. Then when you finish reading other people, then Brenda Jackson have a book out for you to read. But if you sit there and just wait on me, it's going to seem like I don't write fast enough. So I'm always promoting book people, other authors on my book club. My moderator, Brenda Woodbury, she works with other authors who are members of Brenda Jackson Book Club. And one day out of that week, we promote other authors. So we are always doing things to promote other authors.
That is so amazing. That is really. Any other tribe members have questions? I'm going to also put you have that new book coming out, The Sweetest Taboo. You have that coming out. When is it? What date is it?
Now, this is my most current book. Here, it's in hardback, ebook, and paperback. The Sweetest Taboo is a reissue. It was in an anthology. The Sweetest Taboo was in an anthology. And I broke the anthology up because my readers said, we want just that book. That book was connected to my book, Savvy Sisters, and they wanted just that interracial story. So I pulled it out, put a new cover on it, and they have it. So some people may have already read that book. Some people did not know that I write also interracial romances, which I do. I write multicultural, interracial, however the story comes to me, that's how I write it.
Awesome. Any other questions
Brenda,
from the tribe?
I just had a quick question. One of the things that I love about you, besides, I remember when I first met you, goodness, you were like, we were talking about how fast you write. And I think it was something insane. Like you were like, girl, I write 100 words a minute. It was something crazy. But what I love is the fact that your family is so intertwined with you, and it's just your writing career is so much. There's so much love there, and there's such a family affair going on. Was that just the natural progression of things? Like your husband was always on board, like you said, and your sons help with your production company and stuff. So just tell us a little bit about that family unit.
Oh gosh, when I decided to retire, because my husband knew I wanted to be in corporate America. He knew I loved my job. And he knew I had a chance to retire early. Harlequin offered me a very big contract, and all I had to do is come home and write. And I didn't know whether or not I could do it because I wanted corporate America. I like dressing up, wear my pumps, go into the boardrooms, handle the boardroom. And I'm like, what would I do all day other than write? I love my job. And he said, but I don't like mine. And he had never told me that. He had never told me. He never liked his job. He said, I said, really? When? He said, I never liked my job, but it was something I had to do. I mean, why complain? You know, I had you to take care of. I had my boys to take care of. But I knew when he said that even though I was the one that would win lotto on Saturday and still show up to work on Monday, I was just that into my job. I just loved it just that much. I knew that I needed to make him happy, you know, because I didn't know. And so I knew then we were going to be a team in this. We were going to be a team. He was going to help me any way he could. I was going to help him, the boys. We were going to make sure they were a part of it. And then I'm from a big family on both sides. My husband's side, my mom's side, my dad's side. That's why I write family sagas, because I'm all into that. And so I just enjoyed it. I just, you know, and that's how we made it a family affair.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So passion flicks, if I may ask, how did that come about?
At a Romantic Times conference, I was told, and I didn't know till I got there, that there were people who were wanted to talk to authors who had made bestsellers lists, namely New York Times bestseller list. And there hadn't been two romance authors who had made it at the time. That was me and Frances Ray, the late Frances Ray, and Frances had passed on. So I met with Tosca Musk of the Musk family, Elon's sister, and she told me about her, you know, passion flick. And of course, I'm like, no, because I tried Hollywood, you know, with BET, and they didn't do my book right. So now I'm making my own. And she said, no, but that's our platform. We will make the book like the movie. You get hired as a consultant. Nothing get made unless you approve it. And we really would like a 3-book movie deal from you. And once I got to know Tosca and got to know that they would keep their word, that's when I signed on with the Grangers. And I was part of the series on the movie set. And I Love a Brother's Honor is out there on Passion Flick, Amazon Prime. We're waiting to make book 2 once the pandemic is over. So it was wonderful, you know, and I'm hoping once they see, it's like anything else, it's a money venture. Once they see that Black romance sells and people will support it, then I'm sure they're going to bring other authors on there. But because of their platform, I was the first. So I was proud being the first. I hope I represented our genre well with romance. And I'm looking forward to seeing others added on. But you have to support Passion Flick. From what I understand, Black women are not supporting Passion Flick the way they want. And I ask people all the time, if you are not supporting it, then why should they include you? You know, you have to support something. And that's always been with us. We always have to prove we will support something before we will be included. And so if that's the name of the game, then we just do it.
Awesome, awesome. I think I was there at that RT Book Lovers Convention.
Yes, you were.
Which no longer exists. It's now Book Lovers Con. The show
Right.
manager opened up her own event, Book Lovers Con. So yes, I was there, and that's amazing to see these conventions. Authors, if you are not aware, these conventions are an amazing thing, and that's where you make your network and make connections. People have gotten book deals while some authors are writing query letters and sending them off to New York. The editors come to these conventions, RWA, Book Lovers Con, but back then it was RT Book Lovers Convention. They came and you could sit directly across from them and pitch your book instead of writing letter after letter after letter. You have a face-to-face time to tell about your book. And that's what they're there for. They're there scouting out new talent, new voices. So you miss a lot of opportunities like the movie deals and book deals, all of these things by not going to these conventions. This is an awesome, awesome undertaking. All the publishers are there because they want the readers to buy, but you go as an author and a reader. And I think
Right.
people forget, you know, and speaking of reading, what are you reading? I know you do a lot of writing. Do you do any pleasure reading?
No. No, I don't have time. Like right now, I just finished listening to my book, The Bennett's Wedding, only because now I'm writing The Bennett's Christmas. So I got to find out what happened in The Bennett's Wedding so I could write The Bennett's Christmas. So because I write saga books and continuation, I have to know what happened in the next book. But when I do pleasure reading, I see what's coming up on Passion Flick, because I watch their movies. I'm enjoying their movies. And so I want to read the book, whatever book they have out there that they've selected to make the next movie from. So whenever I watch the movie, I can see whether or not they made the book movie by the book, like they did mine.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Brenda, we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we really appreciate, you know, I know you're on a crunch, you got back, you know, Zooms and you're in your writing cave, but to take your time to come out and speak with us, how can people find you online?
www.brendajackson.net. I'm also on Facebook. I have a fan page on Facebook that's very interactive. It's my 25th anniversary year. So I had over 500 gifts to give out, and I'm giving them out every week to my readers. We're in contests. I quiz them to see how much of my books they know. We're going through all my series. I've written 137 novels. And so we're hoping, stay tuned. I'm hoping to be able to share good news with everyone within a couple of weeks. So stay tuned, more from Brenda Jackson.
All right. All right. Thank you so much again for being with us today. We really appreciate it. And you can feel free to use that panelist link to come in and out as you will. It's like a parking pass. So yeah, I'm going to put you in the audience for now. And I know you're going to get back to doing some writing as well. But we thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Bye.
Bye-bye now. Okay. I am going to put you here in the backyard, as they say. And I want to stop this recording.